is going on, guys? It is your boy, the Nitro General here, and welcome back to our draft analysis for Season 7 of the Npba, guys. I'm so excited, guys. The Npba is back. We're going to get some awesome battles this season. I think this is going to be our toughest season yet, but we're coming off the high of claiming the victory in last season. In Season 6, we claimed the absolute winner. We only lost like 1 or 2 battles the whole season. It was my best season by far. We had some of the best battles ever, but yeah, we're just gonna try to have fun in this season. And yeah, but before we get into this, guys, I do just want to say I really appreciate everyone who's watching this video. If you guys do enjoy Draft League content, if you enjoy Pokemon content, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. If you guys haven't already, if you have, I really appreciate it. If you could leave a like down below and leave me a comment in the comment section too to let me know about what you guys think about the team. If you think I have a glaring weakness, which I think there's a couple that I'll talk about, but let me know if you guys do think that that the team is good, or if you don't like it, or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys have your notifications on. I'm gonna try to get every week's battle video out on Wednesday. I do apologize. I really want to get back into recording content for you guys, and I would like to say I really do promise that videos are gonna resume, but all I can say is I'm gonna do my best. I love creating content. It's never going to get back to where it was a couple years ago when I was releasing 5-6 videos a week, but I would like to get to the point where I can release at least 3 videos. 2 or 3 videos a week would be optimal. 3 with the draft and maybe 2 regulars. So if that is something that you guys want to see, make sure you let me know, because the more support I get, the more obviously I'm going to be excited to create content. So, but yeah. So, but before we get into this, I do just want to say, if you guys have never if you guys don't know what the Npba is, I should say, that is the draft league that I created, right? The Nitro Pokemon Battle Academy. I created that years ago when I couldn't find a draft league to join. It is a Discord draft league, and my cat really wants to come up here for some reason. You want to come say hi? Obviously, he wants to say hi. So this is Loki. Say, will you look at the camera? Say hello. Say hello. Alright. But yeah, so every season of the Draft League, we try to do a different format. This season is Nat Dex Doubles. So basically, what we're doing is, well, this is not right in the first slide. It'll be fixed in the second one. But basically, everybody drafts a Mega. You get 1 Mega Pokemon. It is the only Mega that you can draft. Even if you draft a non-Mega Pokemon, you can't give it the Mega Stone. The only way you can Mega Evolve the Pokemon is if you draft it, right? There are three basically tiers of Megas. There's high tier, low tier, and mid tier, right? Mid tier don't cost anything. High tier Megas cost 50 of your transaction points. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it does make it so you'll end up having to draft more lower tier Pokemon, which I think a lot of teams ended up seeing. And then we have lower tier Megas that actually give you an extra 50 points to use, which is the difference between having to draft another tier 3 or having to draft a tier 4 at the end of the draft. Then you pick 2 tier 2s, 2 tier 3s, and a tier 4, right? And then you have 500 points, or 550, or 450, depending on the Mega that you pick, to use to draft 4 extra Pokemon. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over our draft as quickly as I can, and then we're going to head over to Showdown, where I'm going to talk about a little bit more Pokemon in a little bit more detail with a lot of the moves and stats and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I also want to start off saying that I had the last seed in the draft, which meant that I got to pick twice, but it also meant that during the first round, I had to wait for it to come all the way to me. I had the last pick of a Mega Pokemon, or any pick, which really sucked. I've been sniped in this draft more than any other draft, right? I don't usually plan. I went into this with 4 Pokemon that I wanted to draft, and 3 of them were sniped from me within the first 2 rounds of the draft, right? The last one was a Mega Pokemon that I didn't end up drafting just because I didn't feel like it fit the team. But basically, my plan was to draft Urshifu Rapid Strike and Zeraora in Tier 1 and Tier 2 respectively, and then Crobat in Tier 3. That was my goal. And unfortunately, that didn't really work out for us because of the fact that Zeraora went 3rd draft in the entire pick, and then Urshifu was drafted 2 picks before it came to me. So that really messed it up. By the time it came to me, I had to basically revamp my entire draft. And then I had Crobat, which I did not think would come back to me because that was going to be my 3rd pick. And then it went, right? It went like 4 picks before it came to me again. I was really upset. It absolutely broke my heart. So I really had to revamp my team. Basically, how I usually go through this is how I drafted my Pokemon in the, order that I drafted them in the draft, but I can't really do that because after the draft, I dropped most of my team. I was very indecisive because I was trying to figure out how, because we had a 24-hour grace period to make as many transactions as we wanted. I had to figure out what was the best way to create a team with my team that was basically in shambles, because I looked at it at the end of my draft and I was like, this just isn't great. It just isn't. So, to me again, I was really upset. It absolutely broke my heart. So I really had to revamp my team. Basically, how I usually go through this is how I drafted my Pokemon in the, order that I drafted them in the draft. But I can't really do that because after the draft, I dropped most of my team. I was very indecisive because I was trying to figure out how, because we had a 24-hour grace period to make as many transactions as we wanted. I had to figure out what was the best way to create a team with my team that was basically in shambles. Because I looked at it at the end of my draft and I was like, this just isn't great. It just isn't. I picked Mega Lopunny in the last National Dex League that we did, which I think was Season 3 or 4. I can't remember. But one of those, we had wanted to draft Mega Lopunny, but it was sniped from us, and which I'm pretty sure we had last draft or one of the last picks in that league too. And we ended up drafting Mega Beedrill. That didn't work out, so we ended up dropping it and picking up Mega Gyarados. But this season, I was going to draft a low-tier Mega. I was going to draft Mega Absol, right? Mega Absol was the Pokemon that I really wanted to, but I didn't end up getting it, right? So I drafted Mega Lopunny, which was a mid-tier Mega. However, at the end of the draft, I had decided that that didn't really fit our team as well, right? I decided that I want power. I looked in the high-tier Megas, because at that point, there were only 2 high-tier Megas that had went undrafted, right? There was Mega Latios, and there was, I think this one. I can't remember. There might have been one other high-tier Mega that didn't get drafted. But, Alakazam didn't get drafted. That's what it was. All the other high tiers got drafted. Gengar is banned, so obviously we can't do that. But I was looking at our team, and I was like, you know what? I had considered drafting this Pokemon, but I decided over it because it was a high-tier Mega. But I was like, you know what? We're going to do this. We may never get a chance to use this Pokemon in draft ever again. And I feel like I kind of owed it to myself and the audience to use this Pokemon in draft. So you know what? The Baltimore Blazekins have finally picked up Peppy Paul, the Mega Blaziken. I'm so hyped about this, guys. Obviously, you can't really see the name, which really, really sucks. So let's bring it down here. Peppy Paul, guys, is coming back. Well, not coming back. He's just going to be here, right? I'm so excited for this because it's not every day that I get to use my favorite Pokemon, the mascot of the draft channel, and the mascot of the channel in general, Blaziken, right? Like, this is super awesome. Mega Blaziken is obviously one of the best Megas. Speed Boost is absolutely insane. Obviously, just being able to protect and be able to just get the Speed Boost up and then be able to sweep teams is just super, super awesome. Obviously, it gained access to close combat now, so we don't have to rely on high jump kick. We can just come in and click buttons. It's obviously extremely good, and I'm extremely happy about this. Now, the second tier, our tier 1 was Volcanion, right? I picked that one, but it was a little bit of an impulse pick because I love Volcanion. It is definitely a great Pokemon, and I could see myself drafting it, using points to draft it in another league where, like, I pick another tier 1, and then Volcanion is one I spend points on because it's just another really good tier 1 that I can actually use. But I ended up thinking that and I thought it was really cool too because I always like having a good fire type and a good water type in draft. Volcanion obviously was both. However, I decided that, I struggled through the whole draft to find a good fairy type. And, I decided to drop Volcanion at the end of this. in favor of a Pokemon that I think is just very, very good in general and works very well with Mega Blaziken. So that is why we picked up Siren the Tapu Fini. I'm really excited for this because Tapu Fini is my favorite of the Tapus and is actually the one that I have the most usage with, if I should say, out of all the Tapus, right? I have used Tapu Koko quite a bit too, and I've really liked Tapu Lele as of late. But Tapu Fini is my favorite, right? It gives us a really good, bulky water type, something to come in that can be a little bit of support as well as just hit really hard. This obviously is our Urshifu Rapid Strike because we didn't get it. So having this was just really, really nice. This obviously takes the ground type or water type attacks that are aimed, well, I mean, ground types are neutral against this, but we can aim it so it takes it, right? And it obviously takes the water types aimed at Mega Blaziken. We also have another Pokemon later in the draft that might take the water type attacks better. Spoiler. But yeah, this is just a really good Pokemon in general. It's really bulky. It's not super fast, but it's got a decent speed stat. We could run this thing fast, throw Choice Scarf on it. It's just really, really, really good. So, and this actually gives us 2 defoggers right away, which is really, really nice because people are going to have to really worry about bringing hazards against us. The next Pokemon was one that I'm actually really excited about drafting because, again, I will spoil this for you guys. We do have a little bit of a fairy type weakness, right? Obviously, Siren takes the fairy type attacks really good, but we do have at least 2 other Pokemon on this team that are weak to fairy type attacks. So, again, I always like having a good steel type, but I was thinking, you know what? We need a steel type to take these fairy type attacks. This one I did draft in the draft because I knew I wanted it, and I picked it up round 3, I believe. And I'm actually really glad that I did because I think it really makes our team well. And it is a returning Mon from our championship team, not of last season, but our season 3 championship team, whatever the BDSP season was that we won. We had this. We actually drafted, I think, 2 or 3 returning Pokemon from that. Well, I think 2. Because, yeah, we got rid of Togekiss. Because I had Togekiss at one point over Tapu Fini, but that was tier 2. But I ended up going with a different Mon. But we're bringing it back to guys. We picked up James Hetfield, the Metagross. I'm actually extremely excited about this. Obviously, you guys can't see the name. I really didn't think about this during the creation of this doc, so I apologize for that. But this is just obviously a really, really good Pokemon. Metagross, extremely powerful, extremely hard hitting. This thing is gonna be a huge threat, and it is definitely a Pokemon that I'm really excited about because obviously since our team is weak to fairies, we have 2 Pokemon right off the bat, Tapu Fini and Metagross, that are gonna be extreme threats to take the fairy type attacks. But James is gonna be able to come in and hit really, really hard. Also, if you're wondering why his name is James Hetfield, I feel like I might be old saying this. If you don't know who James Hetfield is, he is the singer of one of the best heavy metal bands of all time, Metallica, right? And I always named my Metagrosses heavy metal, right? That was always the name I named it. And then I think at one point I was like, James Hetfield is one of the best heavy metal singers of all time, so that's why it's named that. Not just like I just picked the name out of a boot or something like that. But it's just a really, really cool Pokemon. I'm really excited for this thing. Obviously, I'm going to try not to get into the abilities and moves right now. We're going to do that after we do the draft. So, but yeah. Coming in as our next tier 2 is actually a Pokemon that I have no experience using in draft, no experience going against in draft, and really not that much of experience using in general. But it is an Ultra Beast, and it is something that I thought that I wanted since I feel like our team is definitely Toxic Spike's weak. So I wanted a Poison type to be able to have for the team. So we picked up Lily the Nihilego, right? I'm really excited for Nihilego. It is definitely one of the cooler Ultra Beasts. It's obviously like one of the first ones you see in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I'm really sad that they're not in this new generation because I feel like with terrestrialization, it would obviously be insane. So this thing is just really, really good in general. It's got decent bulk, especially on special defensive side. So being able to come in with this thing and just be able to take some special hits is really good. It is technically a grounded poison type. I did check. I didn't know because it was levitating. It is grounded, so it will absorb our toxic spikes, which is really nice. I always like having a good poison type on the team. And again, even though we may have a lot of Pokemon that are weak to dragon types or weak to fairy types, we already have 3 Pokemon that are just very good against them. So we do have a good just very steel poison core against going it's just really nice. This thing is just really good. I'm actually really excited about using it because it does get access to Beast Boost, which every kill that it gets, it raises its highest attack or highest stat. So if we run special attack to be its highest stat, this thing could just be like a special attack boosting every turn kind of thing, every kill kind of thing, which is just really cool. So, but yeah, the next Pokemon we picked up, guys, is actually one of the ones that is fairy type weak, and this is probably the most excited I've been about drafting any Pokemon ever. Right, I'm really excited because this Pokemon actually is one of our Terra captains, and oh, by the way, I didn't mention, but Tapu Fini is our Z captain, right? In this league, there are 2 Terra captains and 1 Z captain, right? So it is the only Pokemon that can use Z moves. So we are picking Tapu Fini as our Z captain. So it's the only Pokemon on our team that can hold a Z crystal. Doesn't have to hold one, but it is the only one that can. So yeah. But this next Pokemon, super awesome, guys. Picked it up in tier 3. I have no experience in draft using this thing, no experience going against it in draft, and hardly any experience using it in general, and that's because it's brand spanking new, guys. Like, just a few months old. Because we picked up our boy, Snapple the Hydrapple. I am so excited for this thing. It's not super fast, but it's got a base 120 special attack stat, and it's insane. Physically, it's extremely defensive, and it gets access to so many great moves. But my thing is that this thing gets access to Regenerator. One of the best abilities in competitive history. Being able to just take some hits, get out, come back in, and be able to regenerate all of that hits that it just took is just extremely good. I'm so excited for this thing, guys. I have my own shiny Hydrapple that I hunted for an Applin for so long, right after the first DLC came out. I almost said the Crown Tundra. Wow, that's been years. No, the Indigo Disc, right after the Indigo, right before the Indigo Disc came out, we hunted for one so I could get my shiny Diplin, and then but I was alright if I didn't end up getting this thing, because my thing is that if I didn't get this in tier 3, I was drafting Diplin in tier 4. That was hands down is what I was gonna do, but we did get access to the thing. I was extremely surprised that this didn't get drafted before me. With my luck with everything that I wanted to draft, Hydrapple was the only Pokemon that I had said that I wanted that I actually got going into this draft. And I was actually so excited. I was so nervous because this round, a lot of people were picking a lot of good tier 3s. And I thought because I dropped this thing from a tier 2 to a tier 3 for this league specifically, because I thought that it was pretty good, you know, I thought it would be sniped, but it didn't. Like I said, this is one of our Terra captains. We are able to Terra into a Dragon type, a Fairy type, and a Steel type. Now, I wanted these 3 typings. I think Dragon is just really good. It has to be either Dragon or Grass, but I felt Dragon's just good just to boost our Dracos. And then we have Terra Fairy, obviously, to take the Fairy type attacks. And then Terra Steel, if we wanted to not only take the Fairy type attacks, but be able to dish them back out. Or be able to hit them for super effective damage, because Terra Blast is not bad. So I can run Terra Steel, Terra Blast to hit any of the good Fairy types. But looking at the draft itself, there is not a ton of good Fairy types that were drafted. I mean, looking at it, I could see, Hatterene went drafted, Tapu Koko was drafted, which was the only other Tapu, as well as Sylveon was drafted. There really wasn't any super good Fairy types, other ones that were drafted besides those ones. There were some, but those were obviously the best, and those are only 3 teams. So I think we're all right here. Moving on, this was another Pokemon that I hemmed and hawed about. I always like having a flying type on the team. I always like having a Pokemon that has access to Tailwind. I'm a little nervous about this thing because, again, it's a brand new Pokemon. I have no experience using it in draft, and looking at it, it does have a decent special attack stat and a decent speed stat. So we picked up Watson the Kilowattrel, right? This is a Pokemon that, again, I'm really nervous about drafting it because it's so brand new, and I don't think I've ever used it on a team. But I have seen it used competitively. Shout out to Playmore in the last season of the SPL that they did. I think it was one of the last draft leagues they did. I don't know if it was the SPL or not, but they did use a Kilowattrel, and they had really good use with it. So I do feel like this may be a little bit of a bad pick because it's frail. However, it's very fast, and it has a decent special attack stat, right? So my thing is that I wanted a Tailwind setter, plus it gets access to Wind Rider, and it gets access to Full Switch. So that's really what I wanted. Hopefully we don't end up drafting or dropping this thing. If we do, we do. But I wanted a good electric type, and I really hope that we don't miss on this. So the next Pokemon is our tier 4, guys. This one was one that I knew I wanted to draft, and I did end up getting it. I felt like I kind of wanted to drop it, but I didn't drop it just because of the fact that I feel like this works really well with Hydrapple, and that is Blobby the Duosion, right? I was thinking about drafting Reuniclus, however, I didn't. But this thing has an insane special attack stat, and because it's not evolved, we can throw the Eviolite on it. It's going to make it pretty bulky, and we have access to Regenerator, right? We have 2 Regenerator Pokemon on this team, and that's why I was like, we may not bring Blobby at all, but having 2 decently bulky Pokemon to come in, do something, go out, gain health back, could be extremely annoying to our opponents in general. So being able to have that's just extremely good. So I can't really say too much more about this thing until we get to the moves section. However, we are going to move into the next Pokemon. So we are going to move into what we used our points on. Our highest points that we did use is a tier 2, 200 points Mon, and it is the other one coming from our championship team of BDSP. I saw this thing and I had to draft it, and that is Frozone the Weavile. Obviously, if you don't know, Weavile is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time in general. I'm so insanely excited about using this thing again. It's extremely fast, hits extremely hard, but looking at the draft, this thing is insane. When I mean insane, this thing hits so many Pokemon for super effective damage. Like, surprisingly, Landorus went undrafted, but there are still so many Pokemon that were drafted. Mega Salamence, it hits Mega Metagross, Mega Latias that was drafted. It hits Mega Kangaskhan because it does get access to Low Kick. Like, this thing is insane. Absolutely insane. So I can't say enough how just good this Pokemon is against the draft. Looking at everybody's teams, I was like, I guess I could probably drop it. But looking at it, I was like, holy crap. This thing is obviously maybe one of the biggest threats on our team. It's super fast, hits super hard, it gets triple axle again. Although I get Vietnam flashbacks to season 1 or 2 of the draft where it failed to kill a Landorus because I got 1 triple axle. I think it's my only time in competitive history where I only got 1 triple axle. So, but it is a very good Pokemon. I'm very excited about it, and yeah. So the next Pokemon we did end up drafting is another new one that I kind of wanted. I wanted a ground type, and I always like having a ghost type, right? Especially when we have a lot of really good fighting types that are going to want to come and hit us. Granted, we only have 2 Pokemon that are really weak to the fighting type attacks, but Frozone is 4 times weak to it. So being able to have a Pokemon that's immune to it is really nice, and it's always good to have a good ground type, especially with Pokemon like Regieleki floating out there in the draft. So I did end up picking up another Pokemon I don't have a ton of experience using, and that is Titan the Golurk, right? Golurk is really cool. It's really like heavy, like a really heavy hitter. It does get access to No Guard, so we can just fire off some 100% accurate dynamic punches and not having to worry about missing 95% accurate poltergeists. It's just really nice. I have an issue with missing poltergeist, right? I lost a draft or a random battle recently. I can't remember if it was with Golurk. I want to say it was, but it was with some Pokemon that got access to poltergeist, and I missed 3 poltergeists in a row. 95% chance to hit, and I got the 5% miss chance 3 times in a row. So being able to just come in and not have to worry about everything is just awesome. So the next Pokemon coming up is a Pokemon that I was a little nervous about drafting. However, it's pretty bulky. It does double up on a type, but it's really good for us. And that is Spooter the Araquanid, right? Now, let me tell you guys something. I am going to spoil this before we get to the moveset. 2 words, right? Wide guard, right? The only move in the entire game that blocks your team from a spread type attack. So not having to worry about stuff like Heat Wave, not having to worry about stuff like Earthquake, stuff like that. Being able to block that is so good. Plus, this thing gets access to Water Bubbles, so it's like really resistant to fire type attacks. Plus, it gets access to Sticky Webs, which is really nice, and it's just really bulky. That one was 132 special defense stat. That's insane, right? And the defense stat at 92 is really good. This thing is not going to be dishing out a ton of damage, but its point is not to dish out damage, right? This thing is to come in and be an absolute menace. Now, the final pick in our draft is actually a Pokemon that I've wanted to draft for a few seasons, but I didn't because I always end up picking a better normal type. But you guys know me, I always like to pick up one normal type in the draft, and I decided to bite the bullet and finally draft it. We got Meow the Persian, right? Meow, like, Persian's just, it's not a great Pokemon. Like, let's be completely honest, that's why it was worth 50 points in the Tier 4. But its speed is crazy, right? 115 is really, really good. But this thing gets access to Fake Out. It gets access to Technician, so we could just come in and hit, like, a bunch of, like, 60 base power moves or less really hard. So even Fake Out's going to be boosted. So it's just a really, really, really good Pokemon in general. But that is the draft, guys. We're now going to get into Pokemon Showdown, where we're going to talk a little bit more about the moves and stuff. Alright, guys, so let's talk about the Pokemon now. Right, we're going to go a little bit more in depth. First up is Peppy Paul. This thing obviously gets access to Speed Boost. It does get access to Blaze. Probably won't be utilizing that. We do not have to Mega Evolve, but we do have to bring the Blazikenite. So we could have a Blaziken with no item, but chances are we are just going to Mega Evolve every time. I mean, why wouldn't we? This thing has an insane stat. Like, it's just so good. It gets access to stuff like Acrobatics. Isn't really going to matter. If we did want to run it especially, it gets access to Aura Sphere. Blaze Kick. Brave Bird is pretty cool. Brick Break to get rid of screens. Close Combat's what I really like. Bulk Up. I do believe it gets access to Swords Dance too, which is kind of cool. Flare Blitz. Fire Punch. Knockoff, which is pretty neat. Poison Jab, which is pretty cool. Roar. Protect, obviously. Rock Slide. Stone Edge, yeah. There's Swords Dance. Will of the Wisp is pretty cool. U-Turn is pretty nice. So it just obviously gets access to so many good moves that we can just take advantage of. Night Slash too. So Upper Hand, which is neat. I'd like to try and use that at some point this season. Yeah, so it's just really cool. Obviously, Siren gets access to Misty Surge, which I can't remember what Misty Surge does completely, but hopefully it's not too bad for our team. It's not the one that blocks priority. That's Psychic Surge, so I don't have to worry about like James Hetfield with Bullet Punch. But we do have like Telepathy, and hey, spoiler alert, but Metagross gets access to Explosion, so we can just run Telepathy, Explosion, Metagross too, which is just really cool. So like I said, this thing, obviously we could run something like the Assault Vest, or the one that's really bulky. Choice Spatch, Choice Scarf. It gets, do you not get access to moves? This thing is, oh, is it just because I don't have a format selected? Let's, okay, now we've gone, still what the hell? It's just those two. I don't know why we're not getting access to their moves specifically. We look now, can we see if I look up Buffini now? Do I get access to looking at its moves? Yeah. Wow, is Showdown just not working? Okay, there we go. So that's weird. Okay. So, yeah, obviously gets access to Misty Surge. It's got a really decent, spread of stats, which is really nice. It's really, really bulky. So, obviously gets access to stuff like Dazzling Gleam. I don't believe it gets access to Moonblast, which really sucks. But we got access to Defog. Like I said, we have 2 Pokemon that have access to Defog. We have access to Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Magic Coat, which is kind of cool. Play Rough if we do want to run it physically, but obviously we wouldn't. We do have Nature's Madness, so it does equals to 1/2, and we do get access to Topunium Z, right? So we have Guardian of Alola, which I'm not totally sure what that does, if I'm being completely honest. but I bet you it's good. Maybe. It gets access to Haze, which is kind of cool too if we want to get rid of a Pokemon from setting up and stuff. It gets access. Oh, it does get access to Moonblast. What one doesn't get access to Moonblast? Was it? Or no, I think they all get access to Moonblast, but they don't get access. All get access to Play Rough. It does get access to Scald, which is really cool. Substitute, Taunt, Toxic is pretty cool too. Being able to get access to all of this stuff is just really nice. But yeah, obviously all this nature or the hidden powers and stuff like that. So, but that's obviously Tapu Fini. Let's get back into this. So we had to do a Metagross. Metagross is really good. Does get access to Clear Body, which is really cool too. So we don't have to worry about like intimidating or luring us, and we can still just go for. I believe it gets access to high horsepower, or not. Does it not get? What does it get access to for ground? I know it gets access to Earthquake. Oh, Stomping Tantrum. That's what it gets access to. Okay. I thought it got access to a ground type move. It was Stomping Tantrum, not high horsepower. But obviously this thing is just really good. We can run light metal, but I don't know why we would do that. But we do get access to a lot of really good stuff. Agility sets is kind of cool. We do get access to expanding force, which is nice. Does this thing get psychic terrain? Doubt it. Maybe at the bottom, psychic terrain. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. I don't know if we get any Pokemon. Actually, I think Blobby gets access to it, which is cool. But we have Explosion, which is really nice. Focus Punch, which is cool. Bullet Punch, obviously. We get access to Heavy Slam, Hone Claws, Meteor Mash, Meteor Beam, Psychic Fangs, which I believe is a new move for it this generation. So yeah, it gets access to a lot of stuff. Stealth Rock, it's definitely a Stealth Rocker for us. Stone Edge, Terra Blast. We can't Terra this, but it gets access to Trailblaze sets, which is kind of cool too. Then Headbutt. A lot of different stuff for this Pokemon. I'm really excited about it. Obviously, like I said, Lily only gets access to Beast Boost, so it's not great, but we could get access to special attack, which is nice. Gets access to Clear Smog, Dazzling Gleam, Gunk Shot. We wouldn't really be using that. I think we would probably be using like Sludge Wave or Sludge Bomb. Gets access to Iron Head, which is pretty cool too. Don't really know why we would have Iron Head on this thing, because obviously if we're trying to hit a fairy type, we would just go for that, and I don't know why we'd stay in against a rock type in general, but we get access to Poison Jab, which is cool. Obviously this thing is not physical, it's special. But yeah, this thing is just really good. And we get Magic Coat again, which is pretty neat. I think this thing is the light screen, but I don't see, okay, yeah, and Reflect, so it is screens mon we can use. Rock Slide, which is really cool too. Stab Rock Slide is really nice. Getting access to Sludge Bomb, not Sludge Wave, don't worry about that. Another Stealth Rocker does get access to Thunderbolt and Thunder Wave too, which is really cool. And then we get access to Toxic Spikes, which is another Pokemon that Ally Switch too, which could come in handy. Corrosive Gas, if we want to get rid of a Pokemon's ability or move, but I don't know why we would run that over Knockoff. Does it go Knockoff? That is not Knockoff. Could be wrong. I don't think it does. No. Oh, it does. Okay, yeah. So the only reason why we do that is because it's Stab and it's special. But yeah. So Nihilego, I think, is still going to be really good for us, but it's just nice. Right, now let's look at Snapple the Hydrapple. Again, it does not have the Sprite. If I turn it not shiny, does it? No. Dang. Okay. So Super Sweet Syrup is still really cool. We do, it does lower the evasiveness. I thought, is that not the, no, it's Move gets access to make it slower, right? So we could go for, it should still get the same move that, yeah, Syrup Bomb. So we could go for Syrup Bomb, and we could really neutralize a fast Pokemon, which is really cool. It does get access to Sticky Hold as well, so we wouldn't have to worry about getting swapped out. However, I think most of the time we would go with Regenerator because it's just so good on this thing. Gets access to a lot of stuff like Draco Meteor and Dragon Pulse, which is really cool. Dragon Tail, which could be nice. Obviously, Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Grass Knot 2. Gets access to Hydro Pump, which is really, really nice. It does get access to Pollen Puff, which is cool. I didn't realize about that. Recover. I didn't know this thing got Recover. Wait a minute. This thing is better than I thought it is. Yawn, which is really, really nice. Terra Blast, just like I said, obviously to fire off some Fairy or Steel type Terra Blast, which would be really, really cool. And then obviously we have just a lot of other stuff that we could use. Does get access to Grassy Glide, Grassy Terrain as well. Infestation could be cool. Rain Dance could be cool. Recycle, Sunny Day. It gets access to like all these moves, which is just really, really, really nice. Like I said, it's decently bulky and it hits pretty hard with a 120 base special attack stat. This thing is going to be a menace, right? Then we have Watson. Like I said, it's not really great. It does get access to Wind Power. So if we do go for Tailwind, we obviously get the, that's Wind Rider. This is like, we get the charge effect when hit by a Wind or a Tailwind. So we get charge out, right? We also get Competitive Boost, which is really, really cool too. So special attack is raised so if we have like if we know they're swapping into like an Intimidate Mon, we come in, get the competitive boost. We also get Volt Absorb, so we're not even neutral to electric type attacks, we're just immune. So that's just really, really nice in general. I mean, like I said, this thing does get access. It doesn't really have a great attack stat, so I don't know why Acrobatics is here. But we have Agility, which could be cool. Discharge, Electro Web, which is really nice to lower speed as well. Hurricane gets access to Roost as well. Thunder and Thunderbolt, which is really cool. Thunder Wave. Volt Switch, which is like the big one for me. Being able to come in, Tailwind up, and then Volt Switch out. It's just really, really good. Gets access to Air Cutter, which is a spread move. That's the only reason why I say anything. Electric Terrain, which is cool. And then gets access to just a lot of other stuff. Like this Swallow Stockpile Spit Upset. Never going to use that, but if we want to, we can. Then we got access to Blobby, right? Blobby is just really, really good in general. Overcoat, so we can we don't have to worry about that stuff, but obviously I think we would usually use Regenerator or Magic Guard, right? Magic Guard is really cool, so we don't have to worry about like toxic damage and stuff. We only have to worry about direct attack damage. But Regenerator obviously is the obviously this thing gets access to Ally Switch, Calm Mind if we want, but it already has really high special attack. So we have Expanding Force, we have Future Sight, which is cool, Light Screen, Helping Hand, which is nice, Psychic, Psych Up, which is cool, Recover, again, which is another Recover, Regenerator Mon, which is nice, Shadow Ball, Skill Swap, we got Thunder, which is cool, Thunder Wave, Trick Rooms, and Headbutt. We do have a few slower Pokemon on this team, so maybe Trick Room could be good. I don't see... Oh yeah, Psychic Terrain right here. I was wondering. Okay, so we do have that. Does have Imprison as well, which could be cool, like if we want to worry about Trick Room teams. So then we have stuff like Sunny Day, Wonder Room, obviously, but yeah. And we got Frozone here, right? We got Frozone, obviously, again, Agility, Break to get rid of screens. We get access to Counter, which is cool. Fake Out, another Fake Out Mon, which is really, really nice. Focus Punch if we want. Hone Claws. Then we got Ice Shard, Ice Spitter, and Ice Crash, as well as, I think, Triple Axle is here somewhere. Yeah, Triple Axle again. X Scissor, which is cool. Throat Chop. Taunt, Swords Dance, which is really, really nice. Shadow Claw. Looks like the Poison Jab too, again to hit those fairy types, knock off. I'm so glad this thing got knocked off again after the DLC came out. Obviously get stuff like Aerial Ace. Never forget when I ran Aerial Ace Weavile for Pheromosa and it didn't even work. I know probably Mobile remembers that. He remembers that battle very fondly because I got swept by the stupid little, like the Mon, whatever the hell it is, a little electric Pikachu clone, electric dark one from Galar with Morpeko. Yeah, that thing. Imagine bringing Metronome. If I had like a really, really good streak, and then like there was one battle that just didn't matter, I would bring Metronome just to mess with the opponent. That would be kind of funny. But we do just get access to all this stuff. Spite, actually that's kind of cool. Probably won't use it, but we have another Upper Hand Mon, which is cool. Not to get at. Why does it get water balls? But anyways, I mean, like it's just a good one, right? Then we got access to Titan, which does get access to Fly. Not DKY. Fly. Yeah. So we could run Fly. By the way, I don't think I mentioned, but this is another one of our Terra captains, right? We have access to stabs. We got, it's ground, fairy, and water, right? Which is just really good in general. This thing does get access to close combat, which is cool. Drain Punch, Earthquake, Flash Cannon, Focus Punch, Heat Crush is cool. Another Helping Hand mod. High Horsepower again, which is what we'll probably be using a lot. Ice Punch, Knockoff, Poltergeist, which is pretty big. The Psych Up, which is another Psych Up mod. Reflects. Another Stealth Rocker, which is pretty cool. Then we have obviously Thunder Punch. I think this thing gets Ice Punch as well somewhere. Then obviously Dynamic Punch, which is really cool with Iron Fist. We do get access to No Guard as well. So Klutz we'll never use. It's either going to be Iron Fist or No Guard in general. So and then obviously we get a lot of these other moves here, like Gravity could be cool. Hard Press could be kind of neat, I guess. Raid Dance, Sunny Day, that kind of stuff. We got Scooter. Water Bubble's really good, and Water Absorb. We do have access to a lot of different moves. Where is the one move though? Like I said, it really comes down to one move for me. There's Sticky Web, which is one of them, and Wide Guard is the other one, right? Wide Guard is just really good. I've never drafted him on with Wide Guard, so being able to have that's just really, really awesome. We also get access to stuff like Lunge, which is kind of cool to lower the attack. Leech Life. We have Infestation if we wanted to. Facade. Stuff like that is really, really cool. Obviously, Liquidation, Bug Bite, Headbutt, Hit Impact, Pounce. Could be nice to do that. If we wanted to run it a different way, we could go for Power Split, I guess. But we have Skitter Smack, which could be cool. Stuff like that. So, last Pokemon, guys, we have Persian, right? Obviously, this thing gets Limber, so it can't be paralyzed, which is cool. And then Technician, right? If we really think that this thing is going to get paralyzed and this is a win con, we could run Limber. But I think we could run, like, Technician, which is really good. Or, well, speaking of Nerve, to, not worry about something like a just Berry Belly Drum Pokemon. But I don't know how many of those are running out there. But we do have access to Technician, so moves like Aerial Ace, moves like, I guess Chilling Water, but I guess its special attack is higher than its attack. So we could run one like Chilling Water, which could be kind of cool. We get access to Fake Out, obviously, Double Edge, Gunk Shot, Helping Hand, Icy Wind will be higher, Nasty Plot, which is really cool. Gets access to Play Rough 2, Roar, which is nice. Another Psycho Bomb. What is with us drafting all that? Taunt is pretty big as well. Getting access to stuff like Shadow Ball. I'm just looking for any other moves that could be powered up with Technician, right? Obviously, Trailblazers does get access to U-Turn as well. Bite, Covet, however you say that. False Swipe, even though we'll never use that. Faint, well, but that's basically like 60 base power, so it's not really that good. But yeah, it gets access to all of this extra stuff, which is just really, really good. But that is the team, guys. This is just all the stuff we're going to be planning on doing this season. Let me know what you guys think of the team below. Like I said, next week will probably be the first week battle. If it isn't up next week, it'll be up the week after. But then every week after that will be a single battle every week, but it should be up next week. Again, let me know what you guys think about the team down below. Let me know what you guys think about anything I said in this video. If I did miss anything, I do apologize. It is late, so it's almost 1 a.m. But if you guys did enjoy this, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe if you guys are new, all that good stuff. But like I say at the end of every video, then I am the Nitro General. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Nitro General's out. Peace.